Star is a coffee company really driven by the possibility of using our position within the industry to really build a coffee industry that starts to work for everyone involved.
The El Salvador Project is our infrastructure project with Finca Margarita and the owner of Finca Margarita, Maria Zoila Pineda, in La Palma, Chalatenango.
At North Star, we're always motivated to understand how we can kind of add value to our supply chain through really sort of carefully choosing who we're purchasing the coffee from. And in El Salvador, we wanted to understand how we could kind of pinpoint a smaller group of producers to work with as opposed to a large estate owner, to really sort of get a bit more value back into the hands of those producers and have a bit more potential for a longer term relationship. Really, in our development as a business, we've always been extremely focused on how we can support initiatives that will either impact on the community level or the individual farm level. In 2017, when we started working with the group of chilaxos producers, we really sort of felt that that could be a really amazing first site of the first ever North Star funded project.
I first visited El Salvador with James, our head roaster, in 2019. That's where we first met Maria Zoila Pineda as well. Maria is a wonderful producer in El Salvador. She lives in La Palma, Chalatenango, where we buy the coffee from. We met Maria and her farm's kind of foreman or manager, Santos Humberto, at their farm, and it was a really lovely trip to kind of see where they actually produce some of the most exceptional coffees in that area. And it was a really humbling kind of experience to meet her and her team there.
Y luego con Caravela se le vendió un café. Y luego ellos me dijeron, mire, vienen unos señores de Inglaterra y ellos quieren ver su finca, han escogido irla a ver. Ah, con mucho gusto, dije yo, y me vine con ellos, anduvimos caminando, anduvo también Don Santos con ellos. Y entonces ellos me dijeron, mire, si nosotros podemos, le ayudamos, pero eso es algo que ofrecemos que no estamos seguros. Muy bien, les dije yo, aquí hay que esperar a lo vaya dando, que digamos el tiempo o lo que Dios diga, ¿verdad? Porque para mí es Dios el que bendice siempre.
Maria was definitely in need of more equipment and infrastructure on her farm. Yeah. When it comes to the production chain, you're harvesting coffee and then ultimately are having to depulp that coffee before then drying it after it's undergone some fermentation. When you've harvested the cherry, for Maria, it literally ended there. You were having to bag up coffee and take it somewhere else, which is both a time delay and a transport burden. And this isn't a flat A-road or something in the UK, it's a steep mountainside. So taking coffee from A to B at a really crucial time in its life when it's just been harvested can really put coffee at risk of being low quality, and that lack of a reliable production chain that maybe is in your control can ultimately sacrifice quality. Seeing Maria's production and the way that things were being done with outsourcing was really shocking, because they're doing an exceptional job but without much control over the process and no ability to do it on site. We kind of then immediately saw that, well, if Maria and her team could do this on site, if they could, depulp, ferment, wash and dry their coffee all on site here at the farm, then they could probably immensely improve and streamline their processes, extract more deserved profit really from those processes, and ultimately become way more resilient. So simply building that infrastructure in a farm that can literally house it, but just doesn't currently have it, seemed like a really easy solution to quite a wide-reaching set of problems that could be there. We're really proud to say that stage one has been completed. Stage one was where we have ultimately built drying infrastructure on Maria's farm. So Santos Humberto and the team, alongside Caravela and some contractors, have actually built tiered drying beds to allow them to control now the drying processes for their coffee, which ultimately has already allowed us to separate the lots of coffee that we buy from Caravela in La Palma, Chalatenango, and now we've been able to deliver a coffee named Finca Margarita on its own, which is right here, which we never could have done without Maria having her own drying infrastructure on the farm as well.
Me parece estupendo, muy bien, porque vamos a secar el café con toda confianza. Espero yo que esto pues nos facilite el secado y que dé un mejor puntaje para mandar mejor calidad a los clientes y que disfruten de ese.
We have co-funded the whole thing, so North Star funded 70% of the project and Maria's actually funded 30% herself, and we thought it was a really amazing thing to partner up with for the long term and a really mutual, respectful relationship between Maria, ourselves and Caravela ultimately is then formed to make sure that someone's not simply controlling what a coffee producer does and ultimately has the power to do over time, and making sure that everybody's got a say, realistically.
También en el sentido de la relación familiar entre el señor que cuida aquí, ¿verdad? Y mi persona, o con nosotros como familia, también con los que compran este producto, porque sí espero, como repito ya, que la calidad va a mejorar. Ya no se les va a mandar café del suelo, ¿verdad? En cuanto al secado, al costo en este año, yo espero siempre gastarlo, porque la molida del café todavía no va a ser aquí, ¿verdad? Sino que hasta el próximo año, entonces sí tengo que trasladarlo siempre a que lo muelan y luego ya lavado se va a traer a secar. Pero definitivamente en cuanto al secado, la calidad de este año ya va a mejorar. Esperamos por lo menos sacarle un puntito más al café, esperamos.
It never fails to blow us away what can be achieved just through collaboration, and first of all making the effort to ask the questions and ask them in a way not just designed to further your own interest, but actually being interested in hearing what people have to say, and those people being the ones that are most marginalised in the supply chain. So I think, the power of what we've been able to do just from asking questions, listening, and actually coming through with the action when needed. For us, obviously, ideally, our involvement doesn't end here. This was just stage one, and the aim is very much to kind of pull a complete setup together. It's been really important to do that from a phased perspective to ensure we're not overwhelming Maria or Don Santos in terms of how their work flow changes. The second stage, which has actually already started now, is the funding of a depulper and tanks, essentially. So what that means is not only will Maria be able to harvest and dry her coffee, she'll also be able to depulp it, so to essentially remove the skin of the cherry, ferment the coffee in the tanks provided, essentially then wash the coffee herself before then drying on her raised beds, which just means she'll have total control of the whole process and crucially maximum access to income. So from a viability perspective, her profitability's increased, her resilience, to potential losses due to climate change has increased due to the quality she can add to her coffee in the cup. With this El Salvador coffee, it turned from just being something we just as a team wanted to do to sort of actually providing us with the business case to do it. People loved that coffee and were coming back to it, not just for its quality, but also because they knew where their support was going in terms of contributing to real and true impact within that particular supply chain. And I think, just as a massive thank you to both our wholesale customers who've really sort of supported just that coffee since their opening, or they've really aligned with the values of that supply chain and partnership, to the people who have a subscription for the Chalazos coffee, the people who buy that from our online shop week on week. It's that support of meaningful purchasing that really sort of makes the difference when it comes to things like this.
Con todo mi corazón deseo que a quien vaya el café de la Finca Margarita sea todo un placer, que lo disfrute al máximo y de verdad que le produzca todo bien. Muchísimas gracias.